In the poorest region of the second poorest country in the Western Hemisphere is the region of San Juan De Limay, Nicaragua. The town of Limay lies in a valley on the mountainous northern region of Nicaragua, close to the Honduran border. About 8,000 people live in and around the town of Limay, and another 8,000 or so people live in the surrounding mountains, usually in small communities made up of clusters of homes. The Limay region doesn't receive the worldwide attention that many other impoverished areas of the world. There are no network news crews. There are only a handful of charitable organizations that have programs in the area. There are no tourists, and they have no tourism. Limay is a neglected and largely forgotten corner of a desperately poor country. Clothing for the families come mostly from donations. What's not donated is handmade. A sewing class was created by the donation of several machines. This class teaches the girls how to sew, and after graduation they will have the ability to make and sell their creations. Most of the people find work as campesinos, who when working earn about $4 per day. Some boys earn money by shining shoes. Teachers, nurses, and police officers earn $150 a month or less. Buying food and a few clothes and necessities eat up all their earnings. There is no money left for housing. The Limay region is known for its sculptures. These are made by local artists from locally quarried stone called marbellina, similar to what we know as soapstone. A dozen or so sculptors have studios in Limay. They are very talented, and this may be one of the better ways to try and earn a living.
Our bedrooms. In the 2 hammocks are 2 more beds, so this is a 5-bedroom.
Housing for the families is a dirt floor shack made of sticks and mud, or a combination of rocks and plastic sheets or bags.
No. Okay.
Whatever they can use to keep the weather out. Very few have electricity. Cooking is done on a brick oven in the corner, which sometimes can get a little smoky inside. Every morning, families go forage for firewood for the day's cooking. None have indoor plumbing. Those living in the town have water, usually a pipe coming out of the ground in the backyard, which is used as a place for bathing and washing dishes. There is no hot water. People in the countryside get their water from community wells or carry in buckets from rivers. As you can see here, a schoolboy has pumping duty for the school's well. As he pedals, the water is pumped to a holding tank. One could wonder if he pedals by choice, or is this his detention? For most people in the region, travel is by foot. Oxes, ox carts, or horses and mules are more common than bicycles, motorbikes, or the rare automobile. Twice a day, buses, old U.S. school buses, run between Limay and Esteli, a difficult 3 or more hour trip each way shared with chickens, produce, and the like. In the town of Limay, there's a small pharmacia which carries a handful of basic medicines, most of which have been donated.
Gracias. Gracias, gracias.
This pharmacia is run by volunteers from the local church. The pastor of St. John Vianney Catholic Church in Prince Frederick, Maryland, Father Peter Daly, and several parishioners were led to this impoverished area by the Holy Spirit in 2007.
Well, it began with one house. My sister had been to this town in Nicaragua, San Juan De Limay, and I asked her what she wanted for her 50th birthday, and she said, "I'd like for you to build a house in Nicaragua," and at the time it was about $1,800. So we built one house, we put the photo up on the bulletin board out here, and somebody coming out of Mass gave me a check and said, for $18,000, and said, "Build 10 more." So we started this project of purchasing. All we do is purchase the materials. But then we realized that it had to be more than just buying materials. We needed a relationship. So we made a visit there, and we began to establish a committee there in Nicaragua and develop a relationship with the people there.
They formed a sister parish relationship with San Juan de Bautiste Catholic Church, St. John the Baptist, and its pastor, Father Franciso Bayardo, in 2008. About an hour walk from town, there's a small chapel which Father Bayardo frequently serves Mass at. In this small chapel, Father Daly had the privilege of saying Mass, which is usually full to capacity. Women and children get a seat first, while the men and boys listen from outside. Father Bayardo and the local committee of leaders that he formed said basic, simple housing was the most critical need for their town and surrounding areas. Meeting that need for the basic housing thus became the focus of the St. John Vianney mission effort. A standard plan for simple but sound houses made of locally produced mud-baked bricks evolved. These bricks are made by hand and foot with a mixture of mud, manure, and water.
Glad he showed us that. I have no idea.
Once the mix is right, they are hand-formed using a template. The bricks then dry in the sun for a period of time before they are finally dried in a large oven. The housing project has created many jobs for this brick factory, which is another wonderful aspect of helping locals. Each house is made of 2,500 mud bricks with 500 mud-baked tile floor pavers. Roofs are made of 18 sheets of corrugated metal. Additionally, for sanitary purposes, each house gets a new latrine. The cost of these simple houses with latrines is $2,500 each. Construction is usually done by a paid foreman and 2 workers with support from family members or friends and neighbors of the recipient family.
Esta casa pero por la situación de que ya las paredes y eso se le está cayendo, entonces...
The Committee of Leaders in Limay is responsible for the selection of housing recipients.
Se le hizo aquí.
Families selected for houses must meet one critical criterion. They must be among the poorest of the poor. Other selection factors include they may be elderly or disabled or infirm, or take care of an elderly or disabled or infirm family member,
2 años atrás, pienso. Y usted ya tiene la nueva casita.
Ya está.
Sí. Dios le bendiga.
or they may be a new family with one or more babies or young children. Political or religious affiliation is not a selection factor. Since 2008, the St. John Vianney housing program has funded the construction of over 100 houses. While the majority of the funding comes from St. John Vianney parishioners, word of the program has spread and contributions come in from all over the country. Donors like the fact that every single penny that they donate either for a house or toward a house is spent on housing. All administrative and other costs are absorbed by St. John Vianney committee members. Back in 2008, the St. John Vianney Committee had an original goal of 100 houses. This goal has since been accomplished, but the need far exceeds that original goal, so the committee is now focused on a goal of 500 houses. St. John Vianney committee members and house donors try to visit San Juan de Limay every 6 months. These mission visits to Limay are intended to provide support to Father Bayardo and the work of the Limay committee members. Mission members visit the families who received new homes in the previous 6 months.
It's good that Bueno, espero los niños saben esto a usted.
Father Daly of St. John Vianney blesses each home during his visits.
Hágase este hogar como un hogar sagrada, una casa sagrada, y dar tu gracia a la familia que vive aquí, y pedimos esta bendición en el nombre del Padre, del Hijo, del Espíritu Santo.
The families are always excited and so very grateful for their new home, which is made of bricks and love to provide a home for many generations.
She does what Jan Padon does for us. She's the director of religious education.
These mission trips provide an opportunity to introduce donors to the families of these new homes, making a personal and spiritual connection between the families in Limay and our families back home. Thus, each mission traveler to Limay becomes a personal witness to God's love for the poor.
I think that God's grace keeps it going. I think the fact that people see it's something practical that really makes a difference, and it's doable. It's not such a huge amount of money that you can't raise it. So a club or some group can raise $2,500.
Okay. And Noah, I know that I've heard you're very persuasive when you're fundraising. What would you say to other youth who you're trying to get involved, with this cause? What's kind of your call to action?
Just think about how you live in a nice home and think maybe you would love to have other kids your same age to be happy and have a nice home like that instead of living in what they were living with. So just pray to God and ask for Him to help you persuade.
Okay.
You too can make a dramatic, life-changing difference in people's lives in this impoverished region by making a donation of $2,500 for a house or a smaller amount which we put towards a house. Please see our website, www.providinghomes.org, and help spread God's love.